In today's world, the beauty industry is full of bold promises, and products are often hyped way beyond reality. But brands don't always tell you what to avoid, and that's where we come in. Today, we're revealing 10 of the most toxic makeup brands you might want to think twice about buying. One thing is sure, every brand claims its products are safe, gentle, dermatologist-tested, or made with the best ingredients possible. But if you start reading the ingredient lists closely, things can get a lot more complicated. Some makeup products contain chemicals that have been debated for years by researchers, regulators, and health experts. While many of these ingredients are still technically allowed in certain countries, concerns about irritation, hormone disruption, or long-term exposure have made some brands far more controversial than their marketing suggests. This doesn't mean every single product from these companies is dangerous, but it does mean their formulas have raised questions more than once. Enough for us to start paying some attention at least. So let's start with one of the most common brands you'll find in almost everyone's makeup bag, Maybelline. Maybelline is one of the biggest drugstore makeup brands in the world. You'll find it in almost every beauty aisle, and millions of people use it every day. But some of the brand's older formulas included preservatives called parabens. Parabens help stop bacteria from growing in makeup, which keeps products from going bad too quickly. The concern is that certain parabens can mimic estrogen in the body. Researchers have debated for years whether that could affect hormones with long-term exposure. While many brands have started removing them, some products have continued to use similar preservatives, which is why the ingredient still comes up in discussions about cosmetic safety. Since we all use this brand often, the smart thing would be to start reading those small letters on the label. Next is L'Oréal. L'Oréal is actually the largest cosmetics company in the world, and it owns dozens of other beauty brands. Because the company produces so many products, its formulas have often been part of ingredient debates. Some products have used fragrance mixtures and preservatives that can trigger irritation or allergic reactions in certain people. For instance, fragrance alone can contain dozens of undisclosed chemicals, which makes it difficult for consumers to know exactly what they're putting on their skin. For people with sensitive skin, these ingredients can sometimes lead to redness, itching, or breakouts after repeated use. So the best advice we can give you is to stick with the products you already know and trust. Then there is Revlon, the brand we all know by its lipsticks and foundations. But what you may not have known is that some older formulations used preservatives that slowly release small amounts of formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is known as a strong irritant and is also classified as a substance that can increase cancer risk with long-term exposure in certain conditions. In cosmetics, these preservatives are used in very tiny amounts to prevent bacterial growth. Even so, they've been raising red flags for years, especially for people with sensitive skin or allergies. To avoid that, the best thing would be to go for a product you already have confidence in. Number 4 is CoverGirl. CoverGirl is another brand that almost everyone recognizes from drugstore shelves. It's cheap, widely available, and has been around for generations. However, some products have used ingredients like talc in powders and foundations. Talc itself isn't automatically dangerous, but concerns have been raised because talc can sometimes be contaminated with asbestos during mining. Asbestos is a known carcinogen, and even though cosmetic-grade talc is supposed to be tested carefully, the topic has sparked ongoing safety debates in the beauty industry. Not every talc is the same, especially those cheap ones, where brands only see income, not the consequences. In this case, it's better to pay a little more than take the risk. Then there is Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder is known as a luxury brand, but expensive products don't always mean safer ingredients. Some formulas have used chemicals known as phthalates in fragrances. Phthalates are often added to help scents last longer, but researchers have studied them for possible links to hormone disruption. Because of those concerns, certain types of phthalates have been restricted in some parts of the world. Even though many brands have started removing them, the ingredient still appears in debates about cosmetic safety. Another one might break some hearts, and that is MAC Cosmetics. MAC is famous for bold colors and professional-level makeup. Many makeup artists love the brand because its pigments are strong and long-lasting. But highly pigmented cosmetics sometimes rely on mineral-based colorants. Naturally, these minerals can occasionally contain trace amounts of heavy metals like lead or cadmium. Even though the amounts are usually extremely small, heavy metals can build up in the body over time with constant exposure. That's why regulators closely monitor contamination levels in makeup products. Regarding heavy metals, we need to be extra cautious because they can cause great damage to our organs before we realize it. 7th on the list is Clinique. Clinique markets itself as dermatologist-developed and allergy-tested, which gives many people a sense of safety and an urge to buy. But like others on this list, some older formulas used preservatives and stabilizers that have been linked to skin irritation. In fact, these chemicals help extend the shelf life of makeup, but they can sometimes trigger redness, itching, or allergic reactions, especially for people with sensitive skin. That's why ingredient safety is still being reviewed and updated as new research appears. So even with brands that seem safe, it's still important to pay attention to how your skin reacts. At the end of the day, what works for one person doesn't always work for everyone. And if you have sensitive skin, it's better to go with natural products instead. Next up is NYX Professional Makeup. NYX has blown up in popularity thanks to its trendy products and super affordable prices. It's one of those brands people love to experiment with because you get a lot without spending too much. But some of its formulas have included colorants and preservatives that have raised questions about skin sensitivity. For some people, these ingredients can lead to irritation, dryness, or even breakouts after regular use, especially if you are a teenager, because that skin is still maturing and can trigger stubborn acne. That doesn't mean every product is a problem, but it's enough to keep the brand in ongoing safety conversations. So if you notice your skin reacting, it might be worth checking the ingredient list instead of just assuming it's your skin. Number 9 is Urban Decay. Urban Decay is all about bold looks, intense colors, and makeup that really stands out. Their eyeshadow palettes are especially known for strong, highly pigmented shades, and their marketing is making you go to the store as soon as possible to get new, trendy colors. But with that level of pigment, there can sometimes be tiny traces of metals like lead or arsenic coming from the minerals used for color. Even though these amounts are very small and regulated, it still makes some people uncomfortable, especially with daily use. It's one of those things where the product looks amazing, but you still might want to be a little more aware of what's inside. Last but not least, Almay. Almay is often seen as a go-to brand for sensitive skin and simple hypoallergenic makeup. It's the kind of brand people reach for when they want something that feels safe and gentle. But like many older cosmetic companies, it has used preservatives and stabilizers in some of its past formulas that have raised red flags about long-term use. These ingredients can sometimes cause irritation, redness, or allergic reactions, especially if you use the products every day. So even with brands that seem gentle, it's still a good idea to pay attention to how your skin responds over time. However, even after this list, even with the most trusted product, the best thing we can do for our skin and ourselves is to finally start reading labels and get informed on time before we regret the decision of using and buying the product. So what does all of this actually mean? Cosmetic safety isn't black and white. That's why more people are starting to actually check what's in their makeup instead of just trusting the brand name. At the end of the day, this is something you're putting on your skin every single day, so it matters. Do you check ingredients, or do you just go with what you like and trust? If this made you think twice about what's in your makeup bag, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Cheers!